Welcome to Warrior Class.
Where the teachers whip ass.
And you will too if you pass.
All right, this is the Your Martial Arts is Hot Garbage episode. So we're going to get into it. And before we do...
That's right. Your martial arts. Yours. No, just kidding. Oh, just kidding.
And before we get into it, we're going to drop some news on y'all. And then...
Yes. Let's talk about some news. So one thing that just happened a couple of days ago, an 84-year-old woman was kidnapped at the corner store in Clayton County over there. And she really wasn't kidnapped. What happened was this. Before we get started, before we get into the news, first of all, let me open up my chat and say peace to whoever's on the chat so far and ask you to please, here we go. There we go. Look at us. We are some handsome, attractive individuals, I tell you. So anyway, peace to everybody that's in the chat. Skip the survey that comes up when you go to watch us. So I want to ask you to please share this program. You can go right to the bottom of it, to the share part, and you can copy the link, or you can put it in your chat. You go straight to your chat. You can go to your news feed like I'm doing right now and telling everybody we are live on my Facebook page. If you follow me at Anna Uweya, I'm going to say we're live real quick. Boom, boom, boom. Before we get to the topic, there we go. See, she just got the text live. Okay, so gonna get into the news real quick. Like I was saying, so this kidnapping, I believe 84 years old. I read the article, so I don't have it in front of me. It really wasn't a kidnapping. She got let out in northwest or northeast, I believe, like 40 miles out somewhere at a place. And she was fine, nobody harmed her, whatever. Luckily, this was really about getting the vehicle. So I posted this with on Facebook with "Lock Your Doors" is all I said on it. Because what happened was the caregiver has the mother in the car with her in the passenger seat. She jumps out at a local convenience store. I'm looking at the surveillance camera, like a really nice place, little quaint little spot in this over there. And I didn't see no troubling looking individuals like we always talk about. What does a criminal look like? What does a rapist look like? What does a murderer look like? Do that on the knapsack. He didn't look threatening to me. But soon as that caregiver walked in the store, he calmly got right in the driver's side of the vehicle and drove right on off. Wow. Just like that. You thinking you can run in and run out. You cut the car off, but you left the keys in it because somebody's in it. That's a very you actually put that person in danger by doing that. That's what you really did. You created a situation that didn't even have to be. Somebody saw opportunity that you created. So I'm not trying to blame. Hey, he didn't blame the caregiver. I would have. He was, I don't know. Maybe he was one of them other type of them Christians that the Martin Luther King type turned. I don't know, but personally, that's why I always talk about locking your doors and stuff like that when you get out of the car. Even if it's a split second, it only takes a second. And if you got children in the car, anybody, I posted the thing about I don't know if we talk about that because it was a couple shows ago. The couple, I posted that on the page where the guy said, "Honey, make sure you lock the door. I'm about to run in Home Depot, whatever." Right. Ran in and he didn't go in Home Depot. He turned around, put a mask on. Mm-hmm. She got a book, didn't lock the door, put a mask on, went to her side of the door, opened it, jumped out and everything. I just told you to lock the door. And my whole point was that, like, women if you have a man, sometimes you get a false delusional sense of protection and you just throw all that stuff out the door and think this man is going to magically just ward off all evil spirits. And it don't work like that either. So we need
or even if you're standing there, I was at Whole Foods in Phoenix, Arizona. And, Phoenix is hot. So after I walked out, I sat down like, in the car, had the door open. And there's a couple there, and they got a little boy, probably a year and a half, 2 years old. He walks over to the car, puts his hands up, for me to pick him up. I said, nah, man, your parents right there. Go back to your parents. He grabs my leg, climbs up into the car with me. Parents just steady talking. I could have drove off with the boy. So I said, excuse me. I said, your son is in the car with me. They said, he knows a nice guy when he sees one.
Oh,
and they go back still talking. Until finally I was like, no, finally the wife says, what, you got to leave? I said, yeah, I'm going to head home. She said, all right, come on. And he just sit there with me. And then she comes over and picks him up. And then I'm able to drive off. Like I said, ma'am, you all best be careful. I'm a security expert. And this was a really dangerous situation for you. I could have driven off with him. And the husband says, well, we're good judges of character. We knew you weren't going to do that. So still, even after I tell them, they still weren't dealing with reality.
No.
We romanticize everything, man. Everything. So that happened. I didn't talk about this.
Real quick, James said that was probably a setup too, though. They were taking the real risk to set me up with their baby. That was a real risk. Unless it was a robot Terminator baby, I took it home.
I was gonna say it's hard to know exactly what a baby's gonna do. You that's not predictable.
Yes, they wanted you to take the baby so they could say he took the baby.
Yeah. Like he has our baby. Well, it could be too late.
Right.
Police, if that was the case, now that's true, James, if it was their baby. Now they could have been like, we kidnapped this damn baby, and this baby ain't nothing but trouble.
Yeah.
Then the baby climbed in. I doubt that was it, but now there's a person that we know, him and his wife at the time. We were at their house, and the wife was babysitting a celebrity's baby. And this baby just took to me. Babies like me for some odd reason. I got so many. And the baby just took to me and just wouldn't go nowhere. Now, this is a celebrity's baby. If I was, first of all, a celebrity let her take their baby to her house. So, but Mugsline, that's safe. And thinking they may trust her, but she's got company over. It wasn't just me. It was, our whole meeting was over there for USPI. I could have been like, here's my opportunity. Took the baby hostage. People really don't think about safety of their children. I love all my children, but if my daughters say, hey, we want to take me, we can sneak her in the club, my adult children, and she's 14, I'm like, that's a big no. That's a big no. I remember one time my daughter, one of my daughters sent me home. Me was she did her hair. She was probably about 9, 10, not younger than that, about 9. She sent her home in an Uber, and I flipped. Don't you ever do that, Well, I knew she was safe. I would have sent her daughter, I would have had her ride an Uber. I would have told you send her home in an Uber. I said I'd have never sent her home in an Uber. Hell no. Because she's so young, I can't trust that. Even when she goes to high school. But, she was 13. She's 14 now, but she started riding Uber at 13. I send her the information, and I say, okay, call me before you get in the car. Do you see the car? Yes. And she knows herself. She checks the plate. It's the plate's right. So, okay, get in the car, have me on speaker so they can hear me talking to you. Right? Get in the car, strap in, let me know when you all leave so they can hear me saying that too. So I'm watching you all on the map. So I know when they leaving out, but I want her to. She said, "Yeah, we're driving out. Okay, keep on the phone for a minute." Then I said, "Okay, now call me if you need me." Right. One time, car comes to pick her up. Whole different car. She said, "The driver's here, but it's a different car and the different plate." No, same plate, different car. I said, "Oh no, hell no, hell no! Don't, back away from that car." And he said, I can hear him. You getting in? Come on, get in. She said, "No, I'm not getting in." So I write him, "My daughter's not getting in that car with you. Oh, I had to change cars because I'm having it detailed." I said, "But you have the same plate that you listed?" "Oh yeah, I put the plate on there so people be comfortable." I said, who the hell would be comfortable with that? "No, sir. She's not getting the car." "I understand." And then he said something else. Said, "Well, she's not getting the." I said, "I understand." He wrote that in all caps, right, to show you upset. I said, "I don't give a fuck if you're upset. Cancel the ride." So it took him a long time before he canceled the ride. So then he canceled that. I got her another ride. Like, man, you can't gamble with your babies.
No.
The thing about Uber and Lyft too is that it doesn't have to be the person. That's the thing. The person that shows up does not have to be the person who has the account.
Right. And she ain't getting in on that. She ain't getting into that car if that's the case. Because I've had that, you order Uber Eats and it'll say Jaquana is delivering.
Right.
And I'm like, that ain't Jaquana. That may be Johnny. Ain't that picture that I'm seeing the sister right here.
Right.
And a sister weigh about 120 pounds. This is a 300-pound dude. I said, "Oh no."
I've had that happen too.
That don't have his license right or don't have a car. That's like trying to make that money. You know what I'm saying?
So,
it's easy way to manipulate the system.
Delivering food kind of okay, but putting your child in that?
Yeah.
Hell no.
Yeah. So something else that came about I thought was interesting. I didn't get a chance to talk about. Did I talk about it on the last show? I don't remember because I was out of space, in a different space. Did I talk about the fact
that out of space? Oh shit.
Did I talk about the thing that came out about Dr. Fauci and all that getting caught and all that in court and all that? Did I talk about it?
I saw it.
The thing is, you've talked to me about it, but I don't.
Right, I don't know exactly. That's how I be getting confused. Well, if you didn't hear it, and real quick, he just got in court. Records came out. I feel like I talked about it because I said it so many times. But records came out that he said, and we talked about this person before it ever came out, that masks don't work. And it's funny because me and Bob had conversations about this in privacy. How he's like, how Bob was saying, separation works with a virus, but if you just know, you could do simple science with the size of a virus and a mask and all the kind of, so that's just common sense that they got us to believe something other than common sense. So that came out in court that he knew masks didn't work, and that the whole lockdown thing, he didn't do any scientific data, nothing. He just had his assistant go to China, see what they was doing over there. The guy came back and said they're doing lockdowns. Said, okay, we're gonna do lockdowns over here. So
I tell you, I had this discussion with Akin Bobla and other students when I said early on, I said, COVID's gonna be around for probably my entire lifetime. And and y'all heard me say it, and he said, "Nah, because technology better." I said, what does technology do? What makes technology end a virus when it ain't ended the code, which is a virus, right? So I went back. I've done a lot of research on the Black Plague. My mother said, "How do you know about the Black Plague?" Mind you, my mother was born in 1931. The Black Plague ended in the 50s. The Black Plague started in the 1700s.
You talked about this too.
And the way they ended it, not herd immunity, is social distancing.
Yep, that's what you was talking about when we
right. So they figured out social distancing works. None of them, they didn't wear a mask in my mother's day, but they did social distance, and that's what finally ended the virus.
Yeah.
That's what ended the Black Plague, which had decimated the world. So social distancing has ended. People not even doing that. They were doing that in the the stores in different places, 6 feet apart. They stopped that.
Mm-hmm.
Just wear that mask.
Right.
Just wear them, and they ain't doing nothing.
Exactly. The other thing I want to say about this, and all this is relevant because I feel like this is warfare. But anyway, December the 7th, they had a Senate hearing in DC, and I posted a clip of it. And they had the guy that created
the bubonic plague, y'all. Excuse me. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Right, not the Black Plague, Bobby. That's what you're saying.
Black Plague was 1400. I think it's bubonic plague.
Right. So they had the I think his name is it Ron Johnson, I think, or Ryan Cole. I can't remember which one it is. But one of the guys that created the actual I don't even like saying the word on air or on me because you get all type of stuff. But I call it the vaccine. You know what I'm saying? That's what I post when I say I actually see it right there. I got vaccine right there. That's what I say so I don't get flagged. So anyway, the guy that created, they got him there on the thing and everything. You can go to my page, Raquel _E2, and it's got the hearing where the guy says, on the record, is this a vaccine or is this some type of gene manipulation? Gene therapy. That's what he says exactly. Or is this some type of gene? Is this gene therapy? And the guy was sitting there like, yeah, I've said it a million times. Yeah, that's what this is. This is not a vaccine. This is not a vaccine. So I think that's real important. And we've never came out and said we are pro-vax, anti-vax. I never said whether I was vaccinated or not. I don't think anybody on this on the show has. But I always want to put information out there because the whole thing is about the deception that our government is doing. It ain't about if you for or with. It's about information, it being held, used against you, and whatever.
And I tell you this: whether you're for, against, or whatever, two things. One, don't fight your brother or sister because they disagree with you. That is crazy that we do that now.
Yes,
we can't everything. Have disagreements and be intelligent in our disagreements. But number two, whatever you are, keep that same goddamn energy. Keep that same energy. You fighting Joe because he's anti-vax. Keep the same energy when information comes out. You fighting Mary because she's vax and you anti-vax. Keep that same goddamn energy.
Right.
So, and if you do that, you don't want to, well, certain things come out, I change my view, then maybe you shouldn't have been fighting in the first place. You should have been having intelligent discourse.
Right.
Exactly.
But every time people try to have intelligent discourse, it just decayed into fighting. So much so, even on here, on Black Power Media, there was fights going on. So I jumped in and said, this isn't doing shit for our people.
Yeah, boom.
And people can look back and find that episode. This isn't doing shit for our people. I talked about basically how one of the torture methods that's used by the U.S. military is to feed a person that's a prisoner of war or whatever, feed them celery.
Mm-hmm.
And you're eating the celery, and you're dying. You're getting weaker and weaker, so your resolve gets weaker and weaker so they can pull information from you, right? Extract information from you. You think you're eating. You burn more calories eating the celery than what you get from it. So you're actually starving to death. So you arguing about vax, anti-vax, and all of that, you think you're doing something and no benefit is coming from that. And this has something to do with the show.
Mm-hmm.
No benefit is coming from it, and you're starving to death.
Yeah, boom.
You're dying. Your people are dying when they're listening to that shit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I dealt with. I said, so let's stop this. I said, and nobody knows what my position is, whether I'm vax, anti-vax, dead in the middle, whether I took the vaccination or not. What does that have to do with my skill and what I'm good at? Whether I took it or didn't, that wouldn't change how skilled I am at what I'm skilled at, and it wouldn't change how ignorant I am at what I'm ignorant at.
In other words, get what you get, do what you do. You know what I'm saying?
Do what you do, and all the other shit, shut up.
Exactly. So quickly, before we get into, I want to, and this is connecting to what we do, not exactly the topic, but one of my favorite parts of Saturday Warriors class, Peace Warriors. I don't know, you're not late. You right on time. You right on time. Peace. So please invite your folks in. Let them know we're here. So y'all don't know this, but I was well, you do know I was out of town last weekend, and that's why I was remote when I did the show. And that day, I had started coming down with something. That was Saturday. I was staying with some folks, and when I got there, it was a couple, and the woman had been sick for like a week. She was just coughing up a storm, stuffy. She couldn't breathe out her nose. The guy had started coughing that day. He couldn't breathe out his nose, real stopped up. These people have a regular diet. You know, they eat hamburgers, French fries, stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
Tuna
casserole, you know, just regular stuff. So anyway, my point is this, you know, when you're thinking about survival and, you know, even to being, not just even being a warrior, as a warrior, definitely, but just as a people, as Black people out here trying to survive, it's detrimental that we stay out of the hospital as much as possible. And I don't mean if something wrong, your arm half off, you don't go. I mean that the highest form of self-defense is avoidance. You want to avoid needing to go to the hospital. You want to avoid being sick. You know, you want to avoid anything that's going to make you, that's just not going to have you operating at full capacity. So that's the only reason I'm speaking on this. So because we all going to get sick, no matter how I can be vegan, alcohol, whatever, you're going to catch something every now and then, and you're going to have to deal with it. That's what I also want to talk about, because I end up catching, I'm chilling with them. We in the same room, even though they sick, we still watching movies together and everything. I'm not paying attention to the fact they coughing up a storm. I'm so ultra healthy, I don't be thinking I can get stuff. So I'm just talking with them and everything all day, all night, then wake up, do the show, and I'm coughing and everything. So I talked to her about it and everything. So what I did was I immediately stopped eating any cooked food. I went to all citrus raw. I started eating, which I eat grapefruits every day, pretty much anyway, or something citrus, oranges or something. I started getting the tea, the throat coat, if you guys know what that is. That's the echinacea.
It's got to be the one with echinacea.
Yeah, it's the one with echinacea. Or I got that and the echinacea plus, which is the, you know, high echinacea. And I immediately started drinking tea and only, you know, high levels of vitamin C, raw fruits and vegetables. And pretty much that was it. And the next day, it was pretty much over with. The next 2 days, I mean, I was still kind of that next day, but after that, I'm straight. And right now, the couple's still going through it. And that's because, and no, I got to tell it. I mean, hey, they ain't watching. So look, I'm like, she comes in, she coughs. How you doing? I'm like, I'm okay. I'm drinking this tea right here, this throat coat tea with lemon in it. And she's a nurse. She's used to be a nurse. She went to school, great school, Carolina, and everything. So, but they don't learn about nutrition. You know, doctors, only 12% of physicians. So, anyway, to make a long story longer, she I was like, you want some of this tea, Lamar? God, to make you feel better. She's like, nah, I think I'm just gonna have some ice cream and put some blueberries in it. That's just what she said. I'm gonna get some ice cream, put some blueberries in it, and then I'll put a little honey in it.
Oh boy.
Okay. And yeah, next day she's can't move. How you doing? She asked me how I'm doing. I'm good. I'm all right. I'm back. And
I gotta try that, the ice cream with the honey and the blueberries. To see,
right, even sweeter ice cream.
And let's sweeten it up with some fruit. Let's put some honey in it.
The honey and the blueberries. So
that's the antioxidant with the electric magnetic foods.
You can put the honey and blueberry on ham sandwich, and it probably make it,
So my point is, man, try to be disciplined, man. When you're going through something, it can really shorten the length of time that you are going through it if you just tighten up right then. If you don't have the type of diet that the greatest diet is cool, but for right then, they tell you it's not really good to eat anything. You know what I'm saying? When you're feeling like a flu, pneumonia type thing, this COVID thing, you can go. How long can you go without food, Baba?
How long can you go without food?
7 days?
3 weeks. 3
2
weeks.
weeks?
So everything's in threes.
3 weeks.
Oh, 3. Okay. So
yeah, everything.
3 days without water.
It's the law of threes, right? So you can go 3 days without water before you start to really debilitate. You may
Peace,
die.
James.
You're definitely going to have mental dysfunction. 3 minutes without oxygen. 3 weeks without food.
Okay. I can almost go 2 minutes without oxygen. I mean, without being forced. You know what I'm saying? Anyway.
You go longer than that. Now, I can, without brain damage. You may pass out, but you won't have brain damage. The past 3 minutes, you're going to have brain damage. When I was sick this week ago, I went 4 days without eating food and wasn't hungry. My wife had to force me to eat anything. You bought the stuff over for the tea. I drank that. Didn't want to do that, but she made me do that.
That was good.
I just didn't want to eat.
You don't have to eat, and then don't let people force you to. I'm gonna tell y'all the worst thing to do that people do too commonly when they get sick is orange juice.
Yeah,
concentrated orange juice is not healthy.
So sugary.
Hold on, just listen to what I'm saying. Concentrated orange juice is not healthy. I didn't say not good to drink it's not healthy, period. It only creates sugar and insulin when you drink it. That's all it does. Nutritional value is nothing in it because it's already been killed.
Concentrated orange juice.
Concentrated. You got fresh orange juice, it is great. Fresh pressed orange juice. Would you say cold press? I don't know about cold press and orange juice.
Cold press, fresh press.
Yeah, you can cold press fresh. That's the same thing. Okay. So yeah.
I have a question though. So when you mentioned about I can't take throat coat myself, but you all should if you can. But the echinacea part is echinacea. So I know it builds up immunity. After you're sick, does echinacea help?
I believe it does. I've definitely had it help me after I was already, feel. I think there's kind of like Belay was in the window. There's a window there that you have when you start to feel not right. Where you can turn yourself around if you immediately lock up and start doing the right thing.
Exactly.
But it's not a big window, maybe 12 hours, maybe 24 hours, something like that. And if you don't take advantage of that window, then even with vitamin C, they talk about how it doesn't help you after you get sick. But if you're in that window and you have large amounts of vitamin C, it can help turn you around. It can help pull you from actually getting off into that sickness.
And I'm sorry, but even if fuck what they say. First of all, what else did they say too? Think about what they say. So fuck all that. Sorry. Yes, the echinacea is not going to do the same. That window, so you know what she's talking about. You know what it is. You feel it when you get up and it's that scratchy, just a little.
You just don't feel
something.
right.
You just don't. You off.
Not right.
Listen to yourself, man. Listen to yourself. That's it right there. Don't wait. Right then, you start bombing. You bomb. You bomb. You bomb. You overdo it. You go overboard. And that's what it works. Now, once you sick, the vitamin C, the echinacea, what that does is brings you out of it. It doesn't, because what can happen is you can keep this going, and the cold, say if it's just a cold, you can keep catching it, kind of going through it. It can drag out. So that's why you want to keep treating it so it doesn't drag out. Now, if you catch it in that window, like I did, then you don't even go through it.
And let me say this too, just so you all know. When I was sick, I was really messed up. One point, I couldn't even speak. I couldn't open my mouth. And then I couldn't speak at all. My hand was going crazy. It was a lot going on. I couldn't breathe. And Belay brought things over to the house, gave to my wife, told her what to do, and it saved my life. So one, I want to publicly thank you, but two, let y'all know he knows exactly what he's talking about. So take that as gospel, because he saved me. So
I would like to say publicly that I talked to her and I asked her things and get information for her. So if I don't know
thank
something,
you too, Amaniki.
Yeah, I would go to Amaniki and about herbs and different things. I know a lot about nutrition and health, but I'm still learning, and she's still learning too. I'm not going to speak for you, but so I just don't want you guys think, because I'm not a doctor. I have to say that legally, just in case you guys ask me for legal advice. But I will charge you as well as consultant. But yeah, but I still get some of my herbal information from and defer to her a lot. So I just want to say it's important, y'all. Avoidance. And if I'd have really been on it, I tried to get another place to stay. I'm gonna be honest. As soon as I saw that what was going on, I called my homeboy. Like, yo, man, you still got that spot? He's like, oh man, my daughter done moved there. Children, damn. So
now maybe you don't want to talk about it, but why didn't you stay with your mom?
Because she stayed way out in the way out. I'm already in the country where we from, but then she stayed in the country. Like so much so in the country, I'm not even exaggerating. She says the country I'm talking about is like, if you driving at night at this time of year, your chances of hitting an animal or having to some type of altercation with an animal at night is like 70%.
Whoa.
Damn.
You're going to see a deer in the road. Now, what you do is up to you, but you're going to see a deer. Are you going 50? Are you going 60? Are you playing with your phone? What are you doing? But you're going to see that deer.
Well, so if I see it, I haven't had no deer sausage in a while.
Yeah. Wow. So like my mom be like, don't be out here at nighttime. Like she be like that for real. So I stay in the city part of Wilmington. That's what I did out there.
I just wanted to say something else about the health piece. First of all, I wanted to mention something iManifesto said, which is good. The combination of echinacea and golden seal, which is something that Belay did, something that I do regularly. When you're in that window, you can knock it out. Echinacea and golden seal. I actually try to layer things.
I do golden seal quite a bit.
Yeah, but also
be careful with golden seal though.
Only use it for 7 days straight.
Right, because if you go past 7 days, you can end up with serious jock itch or do women get jock itch?
I don't.
I mean, I was saying it's possible for women to get. I
Not
know
that type of woman. Maybe those other types.
Yeast infection, because men get jock itch.
I have not had that experience with golden seal. I can say that.
Also, the ginger, and if you don't have golden seal,
ginger and lemongrass is also a really dynamite combination
for viral,
especially for like fevers. If you're experiencing fever, they're powerful against that. But one thing I just want to say, because I know we want to move into the show, is that we've talked about fasting on here before. If you don't put yourself in the habit of fasting, it's going to be that much more difficult for you when you have to stop. You know, because one thing that I notice with people is that when you start to feel sick, you get into the woe is me, you know, you get into that kind of feeling sorry for yourself, which can push you even further
To
into
comfort
just
food.
into just eating what you want to eat instead of really eating what you should eat at that time.
Yeah.
So that's something that you need to think about even when you're well or when you appear to be well, is, you know, disciplining yourself as far as what you're eating, when you eat, even if you are still eating, like I think it's iManifesto talking about the food groups, hamburgers and pizza and all that stuff. If that's what you're eating, then only eat it for 8 hours a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, still try to be disciplined in being able to stop eating during certain periods of time. Even that will help you.
Yeah.
More than just all out, I will eat whatever comes across,
right.
You know.
Intermittent fast. If that's what you're doing right now, you know, take baby steps.
Right.
Baby steps.
Yeah,
that's really.
We got love for y'all family, and we want all of us to make it, you know, or as many of us as possible. Definitely the disciplined ones.
That's really important. It was really hard, especially when you're on vacation and get sick, because my whole thing about going, like, especially I go home, I want to eat certain foods that I never eat when I'm here because I'm home. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's get into it. That's why fasting is useful, because it changes your relationship to food and not always all of that, and it changes your pH balance. That's one of the biggest things that fasting does. It raises your, would you say raises or lower? It alkalines your pH balance. Let me say that. So that changes your taste buds and makes bitter not as bitter and sweet too sweet, which helps you to change your eating a lot easier. So that's it for the wellness and consulting for today. If you like more, hit me up, inbox me, Facebook me, Cash at me, and we'll get started on your wellness journey, and I'll get you right, whatever illnesses you may be facing. All right, let's do it.
All right. So, Belay only charged me $18,000 for healing me when I was sick. So,
you know what I'm saying? I look out for my people. I look out for my people. Why they robbing folks? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I love y'all, man.
So we're starting with the martial arts, and what we're going to do, just so you all know, we're going to deal with martial arts that popular and a lot of them get a rap of being crap. And the whole idea, when we say, is your martial art hot garbage? Is your instructor or you? The idea is to actually take these martial arts and find things of value to us about them. Because to say somebody's martial art that they probably love is hot garbage, that doesn't do anything for any of us, right? So we'll give what we find of value in the different arts, and you'll see. Because so you could take a traditional African martial art, which is the traditional African martial arts are very scientific, efficient, but if you have a poor teacher, it can be hot garbage.
Right.
It depends on the teacher, how it goes. Now, I don't agree with some people say it's not the martial art, it's the man or the woman. I don't agree with that. Because if I won't name the art, but say you do a certain art, man or woman, if you don't have an exceptional teacher, you're going to get that ass handed to you.
Well, maybe not by a sucker. Maybe you be the sucker. Maybe you be the sucker. You be the sucker. You might get a sucker with it.
Right, because anybody can hurt you. So you might get something in, but there's an art that's on here that I've even given, bad rap. I like this shit.
He want to say it so bad. He want to say
a friend of mine who has a black belt in that art. While training, she broke her arm. So their falls aren't even that great. She broke her arm in a fall. So I mean, like, goddamn. They don't have. We call falls and rolls subu. Okay, their subu
ain't Sabu.
is hot garbage. That ain't subu. I won't name the art. It's on my list, but I won't name the art. But that's why I said they have to have and y'all know what it is.
Yeah,
they have to have an exceptional teacher, because she had one of the greatest teachers that's known in this art, and got, he didn't teach good falls. Now I know somebody in this art, raw with it, but he's the only person I know that's raw with it.
Now
he says his teacher's raw. So
okay, his teacher. Because I'm about to say back to could it be the person?
Right. He said his teacher's raw, and so and he was raw with it. He was the only person I ever took seriously in that art, and that's why I actually took some classes with him. But I wasn't serious. I was clowning so much in the class that. But so the first art, karate. And I'll deal with mine. So for me, karate, and you all have heard me say this, I love karate's katas.
Right. So
oh my God,
I love them too.
Like, we don't have katas in African martial arts, but
I'm gonna create one though for Baba, because Baba.
Oh no, don't, please. But so, and there's a reason why we don't have katas, but they do, and I love them. The power, the preciseness, and the sharp movements of their katas. Nobody got katas like karate. Forms, kyuns, pumse, whatever you call it in your art. No art that I've ever encountered has that sharpness, crispness of karate. The way they move in their stuff, and their movements aren't big movements. It's really like a creeping movement. The way I just love it. I love it. They have really powerful looking katas. Okay, and I love the hardness of their body. So karate folk fight. They may not be the most efficient fighters, right, or effective fighters, but goddamn, they're hard. They're hitting each other hard because those katas give them that sharp, hard movement, and they take those hits, especially Kyokushinkai karate, which I like a lot. And there's a karate system from Chicago. God, the name is evading me now. They're hard too, but Kyokushinkai karate, hard, boy. Hard kicks to the legs, and they're taking those hits. So for me, those are the two things of value I find in karate.
So would you say so? Power and
not so much power, but the sharp. Like, you see a karate kick, a karate side kick. It's sharp. Right. Even if you're tall, it's almost like short. It's boom. It's sharp. It goes out, back in, down. It's powerful. And then when they down with it, it's power. Even when they stand behind it and shit. Woo! I love it. Right. I love it. I would never fight like that. I wouldn't train in karate, but I admire it looking at it. I love it.
And then the physical discipline of the people.
And the hardness of it, able to take those hits. If you watch one where you see some really good karate, the way it looks, two things. One, in the movie Bloodsport, that shit doesn't look effective with Van Damme, but he does Shotokan, right? Mm-hmm. It just looks so crisp with it. And then Blood and Bone with Michael Jai White. Boom, pop, pop. The way it is, I mean, the way it's hitting this, it's just sharp.
So real cool how Van Damme, it's this little clip of this guy coming on stage wanting to show Van Damme his kicks. So Van Damme finally, like at the end of his little talking, you know, it's one of them like TED Talks or whatever. So he finally let the dude come up. He's like, go ahead, man, you know, do the kick. The dude kicked, and if Van Damme moved his face, but it caught him in the face, tipped his hat and everything, hit his hat like this, right? Van Damme says, yeah, that's a good kick. That's a good kick. He said, this is so masterful, Bob. This is a call and response. He like he should point right here. He's like, see, the thing about, you know, some of the karate kicks, we like to kick around. It looks real nice. We kick around like this, kick around like that. And then he said, but what we should be doing, and he front kicked the dude a round kick in the thigh. No, not in the thigh, in the stomach. He front kicked him in the stomach. He said, well, what you should be doing in karate is more of this. Pow, caught him in the stomach. Dude went straight down. And then he's like, yeah, you know, you do stuff like that, or, you know, pow, caught him in the back of the leg, dropped, fell down again. And then the guy kind of walked forward, and he's like, and you got to be ready for whatever you do next. You know what I'm saying? And just because this security got between him, he's like, yeah, good. But I just thought that was hilarious. How he got
Van Damme in his 60s.
Right. And he's in great shape. I just want to say that. But when you got money and shit, hey, I'd be in great shape. Wait, see me in my 60s, I got that much. But so anyway, yeah, I agree with Bob. I also say striking in general. They have a plethora of strikes, you know, dealing with from punches, kicks, and elbows and stuff. So they deal with a lot of strikes. So I do like what Bob said, I like the striking aspect of it, how it looks, how powerful it looks. And I love katas too, man. I really do. But I talked about this with Bob before. Like, I really, really like katas. I even want to do them just because they look. It's good exercise. It really is good exercise. So, that's definitely what I would say about the strikes and the physicalness of it. So,
I have actually when I trained in Wing Chun, there was another component of the class that was karate. I have not done karate, but
interesting.
There was two teachers. One taught karate and one taught Wing Chun. We were in separate classes at the same time, but say if one teacher was absent, they would combine the classes and that kind of thing. So I've been up close to some people who did karate, and what I noticed was some very disciplined students. I thought that was great, and that was really my first exposure to martial arts. But the people who were there, they were extremely disciplined, which I admired. It also helps build self-confidence. I guess it is that hardness or the way that they train, but you can see like the confidence in a lot of karate practitioners, which is you know, good for them. And also what Bob was talking about with the kicks, I put strong kicks. I guess maybe Bob might not necessarily agree with that, but you know, the kicks, training in kicks is maybe not necessarily the worst thing as far as being able to kick someone in a certain way is not necessarily the worst thing, but the strategy of using kicking, especially against tools, is what is questionable, you know? So they have good kicks, some strong, effective kicks, but the strategy of using kicks is what is, you know, in question.
We're supposed to be complimenting them, not talking about
to me, number 2, Taekwondo. We talk about kicking. Right. Some people say Taekwondo. Taekwondo. I say Taekwondo because a joke I always say, you know, which I won't deal with today. But for me, it's the flexibility. That's one. Because now kicking, nobody focuses on kicking the way Taekwondo does, right? So they're kicking from up top, and so a friend of mine, Richard, did Kachikembo, which is karate, judo, kempo, and boxing combined. Okay, it's out of Hawaii, but it's real popular in California. So when I was living in California, a lot of people were doing Kachikembo. And at that time, Richie Bearfield was the #1 point fighter in the world. And I didn't, point fighting, I used to be like, man, point fighting, you hit, they stop you point. That's bullshit. You can't fight like that, blah, 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 right? But when I saw these folks, the high level people like them, I'm seeing some amazing strategy. Most time they hit each other because they're so quick and getting around it, and it was just amazing, right? Now, of course, Richie Bearfield, his level, that's world class. But in it comes down to Richie Bearfield fighting against this Taekwondo black belt. And I know many Taekwondo people that I'm friends with, and I didn't have much respect for I love them. I didn't have much respect for Taekwondo until I saw Richie Bearfield against him. And Richie Bearfield was taking people out with just a reverse punch, which that long punch that I didn't think that had any value until I saw him. So people would punch, he stepped off, ball, hit him. There's one guy, he hit him, broke his ribs. I mean, he's just so powerful with it, right? And quick. So he's powerful as shit with that and just evading strikes. And this dude is using Taekwondo, had the same speed with his feet. I didn't think it was possible that Richie had with his hands.
Like my man with Jackie Chan.
Next level shit with their kicking.
What's the dude name that I love from Jackie Chan movie, Baba? When he Taekwondo?
Now he's Taekwondo. So if you look at the movie Who Am I?
Woo!
Who Am I? It's
His
a
lady
German
got that.
Taekwondo guy, right? He's fighting the karate, a kung fu dude, and the Taekwondo. And so Jackie Chan beats the kung fu dude, and the Taekwondo dude taking off his suit jacket. Jackie Chan chokes the kung fu dude with his tie. So the guy takes his tie off, and he had said, #1, I'm gonna do so and so, and the guy #2, so and so. So after he beats up the kung fu guy, the Taekwondo guy, take it easy. We have plenty of time, and he kicks his leg up and holds that shit up in the air like it was nothing.
It's a beautiful scene.
And then the way he's coming at him, the way he's shifting stances, and
oh my goodness,
the speed of Taekwondo, like, whoo, my goodness. Yeah, it's a movie, but you see his athleticism and speed.
You got to respect that.
Incredible.
I ain't never seen nothing like that. I got to say, to this day.
Wow.
To this day.
And then you see, Taekwondo can be exciting. That's another thing for film, because that just like an instructor with technique, it deals with the director and the editor, how they cut it. But if you can direct that, because instead of seeing the weakness and trying to change it, the director saw the strength in it. And let's focus on that. I mean, oh my God, it was beautiful. So for me, Taekwondo is the flexibility and the
I'm sorry, Baba. So first, I was going to ask this Stevenson, D.S. Stevenson. This couldn't be Steve Stevenson by any chance. Is this Steve Stevenson? If this is Steve Stevenson,
I don't know who Steve Stevenson is.
I know Steve Stevenson. I grew up with him, and he is a karate man. But this may not be him, but they said that they've been training for 12 years. They study Kyokushin.
That's what I said. Kyokushin karate was that.
So they said
fighting system.
They study that. They trained 12 years in that, and I was going to ask them because they said that katas prepare you for the streets. So I wanted to ask them, could they elaborate on how katas prepare them for the street? But then they commented and said that I can't pronounce it.
Kyokushin.
Kyokushin Muay Thai.
Yeah, I saw, and kickboxing
Kickboxing are the best
systems.
fighting systems.
Well, that's his opinion. So I'll say this: I've been training for 50 years. I've met people from different systems, right? Probably fought people from all the systems that most people can name. I haven't lost, but I cannot say I never lost. And any of my encounters like that, whether on the street or sparring with folks, never lost. And there are people who can back me up on that. But I would never say the African martial arts are the best, because I can't say that, because it comes down to I'm good, I'm smart, I got great timing. But there could be somebody who's got better timing than me that does Muay Thai and will knock me out. I can't say it's the best. I'm great. I've won many fights. I've been training a long time, 50 years, right? I get in the ring, it depends on what you are. I get in the ring with Tyson in his prime when I was in my prime, and I would have been knocked out. Tyson gets out there with me, and that's my ring. Tyson would have been found cut to shreds, not outboxed. He'd have been knifed up. So what's the best? Really, the best, if you encounter cats, the best is who got the best tool and training with their use of tools, to be honest with you. That's going to come down to the best. But if we're talking about with just our hands, if we're in the ring, that's one thing. If we outside and fight with just our hands, we were both dummies. We were both dummies. Unless it's a bunch of people with cameras, I'm not just fighting you with these. And I'm comfortable telling you that. You said, well, you tell them that. People going to have tools ready for you. They best. Because I'm sure enough going to have it for them. But when we talk about in the ring, I can't, maybe he can say, I can't say what's the best.
He learned from Sensei Randall in White Plains, New York.
Well, I'll say he can say what's the best. What's the best to him.
Right.
But there are too many people out here.
I used to spar with a guy
who can make us great. Like in MMA, there was no respect for traditional martial arts at all, right? For years. MMA started in 1994 with the UFC. It wasn't really MMA then. It was style against style, but it developed to the point they didn't have no respect for the traditional martial arts until Lyoto Machida came along, Machida, and he was doing karate and knocking their asses out. So when Lyoto Machida came, that changed that shit. When you got this dude, Wonder Boy, the white dude, I forget his name, but they call him Wonder Boy. He does karate. He's whooping people's asses.
Right. He just won, matter of fact.
So we got So we got Stephen Wonder Boy, something. We can't really say what's okay. We say, okay, well, see, karate. Kyokushin. See, I don't know if Lyoto Machida does Kyokushin. I think he does his family karate style, but we can say that, and we can say these things until it's not. Until it's not.
Yeah. I
used to go up north to West Point Academy. They had these martial art tournaments, and it used to always be karate and kuksu and taekwondo were the ones winning most of the stuff until I got there. So the stuff changes based on what's going on, right? And after I'd win self-defense and fighting, I'd walk out of there not thinking African martial arts is the best. I used to beat them at school in high school.
You was just thinking you was the best, not everybody. Like,
I was arrogant as shit. So I was like, I'm the best.
I don't know about this shit I got, but I tell you, I'm that motherfucker.
And I remember one time having to disagree with my father. I said, man, they can throw me in any art and I'd be the best. He's like, man, get your ass out of here. He said, because if you...
I just want to say one thing.
You just wrestled. And wrestling is great. If you just wrestle and you get in the kickboxing tournament, they're going to beat your ass. And that made it clear to me. Because you're outside of your lane now.
Right. And that's what I was going to say. The three, and I'm not, we're not here to argue or debate because, like you said, it's your opinion. Wherever you at, that's what you see. But the three martial arts you did name, they don't deal with twos, do they? I know Muay Thai. I know
what Ryan does, Muay Thai does not.
Kickboxing don't deal with twos, so I don't know what they're gonna do with that blade come out, boy.
Get cut in the leg.
But anyway, so where we at, Baba?
Now, so we were still on. I just dealt with
Taekwondo.
Taekwondo. So anybody else got something about Taekwondo?
I'll do mine.
Okay.
It basically is a takeoff of what you're saying as far as the kicks go. Well, I saw a lot of good training exercises that focus on coordination. So that's very good. And also with the kicking is a lot of good balance. Good, a lot of good practice with balance. So I thought those were two good advantages for Taekwondo, the coordination and balance.
And let me say this real quick. I have a close friend, brother, who actually has me on his wall at Taekwondo school as one of his teachers because I've taught him some things. And he's a friend of all of us on here, but Baba Shango Dare, also known as Lawrence Pommels. I've seen him spar with his students, and his timing is impeccable.
Mm-hmm.
And like I told you, the dude that Richie Bearfield fought, both of their timing was impeccable. So, because they kick so fast, so they don't get their heads knocked off, they got great timing against fast-moving attacks. That's another thing. So, I got to give credit where credit is due. If I say anything about, and this doesn't apply to Shango Dare's students, if I say anything, most of the time Taekwondo's uniforms look terrible. They're too big. And so they be like too long on the feet, too long on the arms. But Shango Dare doesn't wear that when you pull over, like he's got the V-neck, you pull it over. He wears similar to a karate gi. But I think his Taekwondo is more traditional. We have to bring him on here and ask him about this. But so his style looks better. I'll say that too. Karate uniforms look good, man. And they sound good. They popping when they kick and punch.
Let me tell you about, as a kid, I used to do my shirt when I used to throw my kicks. I used to do my shirt like this. I used to love the way that sound, boy. Nothing like that.
Now,
Kung Fu, the peasant suit.
Now, Kung Fu, I don't like Kung Fu uniforms. They look too movie-ish to me. But, like, I'll say, I like our uniform. It's just that most of the time we don't wear it. We got to get more into that, But if we had a karate uniform, we would wear it because we would be more proud of it. To be honest with you.
You know what?
Well, we're just like, oh, it's just a t-shirt and just some blue pants. So it's not the seriousness of it, too.
True.
So I'll say that for bringing the unity, the team unity and all that uniform, that's very important, man. And I've tried to do the uniform and stuff. It just don't work because it's hard to break people's minds out of the t-shirt and the pants, and I'm putting on a uniform. I tried to put on a uniform because we do a lot of grappling, and that also is sturdier for grappling, right? But and you don't see no African. Most time, African doesn't even have a shirt on, because these clothes can be used as handles and to choke you.
That's why the first thing when you get mad, you want to take your shirt off before you get into it.
Well, you know, I can boldly tell you, I've taught many chokes with clothes, right? I stopped because it's just too easy.
Right.
Yeah, people don't want to learn the other chokes. I just choke them with his clothes. So I said, well, we ain't gonna use that with no heavy collars and stuff like that. But I do love the karate uniform. That's another thing about karate I like. You know, if I hadn't done African martial arts, if I did something else, it'd have been karate.
Okay.
I know that for me. But yeah, Taekwondo for me, flexibility and speed.
Taekwondo for me, definitely flexibility, big, speed, yes. But I gotta talk about the balance, because I've been to a lot of Taekwondo. One thing I used to do when I used to go up north and stay with my folks, you could go to Taekwondo schools for up to 2 weeks for free. There's a lot of Taekwondo schools in Connecticut, and West Haven. So I would just bounce from school to school all summer. Every summer, go to a different one and just keep bouncing around. One thing is consistent: the discipline with dealing with balance. It was one class where you come in, you start, and you stand like this with one leg up, one knee up the whole time the teacher talking. Wherever the teacher walks, you got to turn on one leg and face it. I was like, it was crazy. So that was good.
That's muscular endurance too.
Right. You know what I'm saying? So that part right there was big to me. I thought that balance part and that and again the flexibility, yeah.
Now, I'm in the pistol say, use your clothes against you. Better roll that hood up in the back. Yes, so the hood can be used. Your hat. Be there to tell you, I use the cap against the person. I use that cap to pull your head to your chin and then just knock you out. So all of our clothes, now you can't just walk around naked and say, hey, I ain't handles. You best learn how to protect what you got on.
Right. The thing is, don't be afraid to wear a hat. Be conscious you got one on.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not worried.
I tell people with locks. Now you'll notice the men in the class, they all got short hair. I had locks. I've talked about that. I had the locks, they wouldn't fall, so it looked like the sun. It was beautiful, like a black sun. But I knew how to protect them. I've had students come in and I tell them, you can have locks all day long. But one of our principles is if it's there, use it. And so that's going to get used against you.
Yes. Sir.
And I throw people by their locks, all of that. And you see the men cutting their shit off. I'm nicer to women. I don't do it as much to women, so they keep that. You see Ominiki's hair. But if a dude came in with their hair like that, looking like goddamn the brother from you just go from man to man. What's the group? I just don't seem to understand how God, you sweet sticky thing. His name's Sugarfoot. What's the name of that? Ohio player. If somebody come in with Sugarfoot, because you know Sugarfoot had that big afro and he had the side bang right here and jive. I'd have been throwing Sugarfoot all over the goddamn school. We had our own Sugarfoot. Kumle came in with a big afro. He came in, well, first he started off, he had his hair permed, and I was like, oh, I'm going to run roughshod on him. God damn it, why this brother got a perm? So I started throwing him. Now, he was in high school then, y'all. So I started throwing him by the perm, right? He lets the perm out. He grows a big afro. I caught him, grabbed it, headbutt, throw, turned him over to his stomach by his hair, right? He cut that bad boy up short. He kept it short until now, you know, he in his 40s and he growing a little spiky afro. And if he bring his ass back to class, I'm gonna throw him by it again.
You don't see that
long hair.
You don't see long beards either no more.
Yep.
Right. You better be protected. I think you seen when I can bowl. I had the long beard. I grabbed that jive. Headbutt, punch him. So if you give me handles, I'm gonna take it, and they're gonna do the same thing. We had a student, Baking, come in, right? Ogun Baking. He had locks. By the time Belay met him, he had locks no more.
Right.
Because I did a workshop and an old student of mine came and they were going at it, grappling, and he was out grappling the old student until the student grabbed him by his locks and pinned him down to the floor. And he couldn't do nothing. Next week, all that's gone. So if you got handles there, it's going to be used on you, just so you know. Now, and speaking of grappling, now this art doesn't really get flack because everybody pretty much said this art is effective. But I have heard some people say some things. Now this is a striking art that also uses clinches a lot. I like it because of that.
Yep.
I love to grapple. So that's Muay Thai.
It's got one of my favorite techniques in it.
Now, and so Muay Thai, I put down things I like about it. I just wrote everything. So they use clinches to move your body into a vulnerable position, and they hit you with the knees, elbows,
keep you off balance.
They got the punches, kicks. They even use the kicks to sweep you, make you fall. Out of the striking arts, for me, that's my favorite. That's just a pure. When you say pure striking art, it's 90% striking. But they take advantage of that clinch to get their strikes in beautifully. Yeah. I love Muay Thai, so I wrote everything about them, including their uniform, which is simple. It's just them big ass shorts.
Yep. And when we say Muay Thai, we kind of saying slash Thai fist together. You know what I'm saying?
Muay Baran.
Right, Muay Baran, same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Muay Baran does use tools, so
yeah. So, and we're gonna answer your question, bro. If you stay, Mr. Stevenson, to the end, we're gonna add. He asked us, "What's the difference from African martial arts and Japanese martial arts?" And he was saying because most martial arts use all the same kicks and stuff and punches and strikes and stuff. You right? It's just how you use them, how you apply. Most martial arts have all the same kicks and stuff too. It's just how you apply.
Our manifesto said about wearing, having locks that if you wearing athletes who wear helmets can get away with it. You wearing a helmet out in the street, you're a bad boy anyway. So, you wear a helmet well, and that can be used against you too. Right. If you're wearing a football helmet, it better not have the guardrail across the face because that can be used to pull you into position too.
Football players do the stupidest thing. I was a football player. I don't know why you try to hit the person in the head and you see the helmet, you grab him by the face mask and still punch him in the head. Boy.
Well, I tell you that's because you're so angry. But if you pull it down, and as you're pulling down on the face mask, you slam your knee into their liver. That's effective.
You don't want to give any advice on how to take the person out on the field.
Or you pull it down until the face mask is almost touching their chest. And then you bring them down to the ground and you keep twisting it until the face mask is facing their back.
Or you just take the face mask and turn.
I mean, you just what just happened. Huh?
It might be unsportsmanlike, Baba.
Well, if you do it in football, yeah, you're probably going to prison.
So
why else would they be wearing a helmet with
That's why I said out in the street.
Okay.
I mean, the professor said, you can get away with it. You got your helmet on. They can't grab your locks. So,
you got a helmet on, walk around. I ain't messing with you.
I said you're a bad boy. I may try that. Just wear a helmet and just, walk down the street.
Ain't nobody gonna mess with you.
Right.
So
ain't nobody gonna even say nothing.
Right. So again, Muay Thai, for me, again, like I said, is everything. If I had to pick two things, it would be the collar tie and the knees. If I had to pick two things that I love the most, that collar tie, man. If you don't know what a collar tie is, it's just that's all it is.
Behind the
You tie a
neck,
tie around the
elbow thrust into the chest.
Like that right
You
there.
can
That's
control
the side collar tie right there. That's gonna be a
That's
side
the
collar.
futsal.
No, not no damn
Okay.
poop side. I'm sorry, Win Chun folk. We're not supposed to say bad things.
But yeah, I love the collar tie and I love the knees, man. It's just I didn't think anybody went deeper. We go so deep with our knees, but some of them actually go up and then out and in. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, they do that jumping.
Yes, it's a lot.
They're beasts with their knees. I mean, good
It's
God.
just crazy. And
some people say that Lethwei is more effective than Muay Thai. Yeah, some people do say that. So Lethwei is from Myanmar, which used to be called Borneo.
Mm-hmm.
So Myanmar and Thailand used to go at it quite a bit. And I've heard that Lethwei is more effective. Yeah. I think I've only seen it used once in actual real life. But
Muay Thai just way
Muay Thai many times. I just love that. I just love Muay Thai. But if I knew more about Lethwei, I would be able to say, I would always put them in the same category from what I've seen.
All right. You Muay Thai?
I also had the very effective striking as one of the advantages of Muay Thai, like Baba stated. And another thing I put is that it can teach you basic boxing, which is, associated with footwork. And footwork is really important to be effective in your martial art. I don't want to be detracting. I don't, even though I do have kind of distractive statements. I kind of had one for Taekwondo too. It's not pre-prepared. It's just, I guess, a function of analyzing something. But what I read and what I saw and something that Baba talked about is actually the effectiveness of that boxing being dependent on the kind of teacher that you get and whether or not, your teacher is good at being able to impart knowledge about that basic boxing, because sometimes it can look very telegraphed. Sometimes it's not as quick as it should be, but learning about footwork, it can be very effective and very helpful as far as martial arts goes. So that's why I put the basic boxing.
Next, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. For me, I said the brilliance of technique. And, I put three things: the brilliance of technique, the ability to be creative in combat, and its effectiveness for all sizes. So when I say the brilliance of technique, they found many, because it's slow and methodical in the way they train, slow and methodical. They have found some really smart, innovative ways of getting better positions on you, and submitting you on the ground, right? Some really brilliant stuff that you normally don't think about. But if you're down there on the ground every day, or at least 3 days a week, down for hours, you're analyzing and thinking of these things, right?
Yeah, bro.
And then the ability to be creative in combat. So I'm not talking about stand-up, but on the ground, they will come up with new chokes and shit in the midst of fighting based on how their body was positioned and things of that nature, right? And then its effectiveness for all sizes. The Gracies were famous for beating people. And they weren't beating people standing up. standing up, they may have got their asses whooped. It was, they would take the person down, which is not hard to do. The reason most fights end up on the ground is because, shit, one person going to dominate the other one, striking, the other person is just grabbing and going for it to take them down. And it's not hard to take a person off their feet. And if you know what you're doing, it's that much easier to off balance them, right? And once they're on the ground, somebody on Miniki's size could take down somebody 100 pounds bigger than me and 8 inches taller than me and defeat them.
Somebody my size.
Your size, I can mobilize size, it would and defeat them. It wouldn't matter. My son, when he was 5 years old, we had a workshop, and there was a sister there. She weighed a good 300 pounds. And I said, you know, son, up and over escaper. And she was like, he's not going to be able to do, you know. And I said, well, go ahead, you know, smack him around, smack him if he can't stop. I don't want to do it. Smack him around. So she's smacking him, and it gets fun to her. So she's smacking, and he pushes his hips up. She falls off balance. He grabs her arm, brings it to his chest. And then he pushes his hips up again. She's on his hips. Up and over escapes. Well, we have that, the up and over escape. So do they in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
We do it like 2 ways. They may do it 10 ways. Because that's their wheelhouse, being on the ground, right?
Preston John said the ground is the equalizer. We like to say.
Absolutely. And so they realized that in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. For us, when we go to the ground, we're trying to get up quick. So we go to the ground, and then we're feeding you something. Because we like to feed people. We're all like chefs. So we feed you a little bit so we can get up and get out of there. We're not going to be down on the ground like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. But the last thing I want to do is to be on the ground with somebody that does Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
He would get fed too, but I wouldn't even want to go there in the first place if I could help it, right? But most of the times you can't help it. The fights end up on the ground.
98.999%. At least somebody ends up on the ground.
So, you know, we're good standing up on the ground, all of that. We're good at what we do, but we don't have a particular wheelhouse. That's our philosophy. We can't get caught in a wheelhouse because we won't be effective on the other places like we should be, right? I would say if we had a wheelhouse, it would be using tools in all situations and all kinds of tools. that would be our wheelhouse. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu for me, the brilliance of technique, the ability to be creative in combat, and its effectiveness for all sizes. And I put all ages in there too, because there are senior citizens, children, able to effectively defend themselves, protect themselves with Jiu-Jitsu.
Yeah, I can. I also highlighted the groundwork that they do there, the takedowns, the wrestling and the grappling aspect of it. Just because, like Baba was just saying, like when you spend time on the ground doing grappling, like I mean, I don't think it's a natural thing that comes to you just how to get out of things all the time. Like you really have to think about it and put yourself in that place and constantly be figuring out how to move so that you can get out of these different holes that people have you in. I remember watching this show, but I don't know if anyone watched The Old Man.
Oh, yeah.
It was a show that was on fairly recently. And it's funny because I wasn't thinking about the age thing, even though Baba mentioned it several times. But there's a few scenes like pretty in the first like 1 to 2 episodes where they do a lot of grappling. And it's really exciting and really the way that they were creative and the way that they were able to move in relationship to each other, and the way that the old man was able to basically kind of outsmart this much younger, much this person who was in much better shape. I mean, it was television, but I knew that was true, that, if you're good at grappling and you put the time in with grappling, that you can do that, no matter what situation you're in, basically. So that's what I listed 4 things, but basically it's because Baba always talks about how fights always go to the ground. So when I watched videos and saw how effective they are on the ground, I mean, it's hard to ignore that. That's definitely one of the greatest parts of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Yes, indeed. I have everything they said, and conditioning, man. To roll, if you don't touch bodies, if you just a striker and you never, let me start by saying this. I have the joy and the luxury and the convenience of having growing up wrestling before I did any martial arts. And I used to lie to my friends, and not even lie to somebody I didn't have to lie to. I just be in a martial arts circle acting like I knew stuff. But anyway, my point was I got to see, I know what real conditioning is. I got friends that box. It's high level of conditioning. But then you got wrestling. It's a higher level. And people don't know that because wrestling ain't as popular as boxing. But wrestling, the condition you have to be in to wrestle, the condition that they put themselves in is on a superior level than any other
sport, period.
Any other sport, period. I don't want to, and I'm not trying to be cocky because I did it. I'm telling you because it's the facts. I've done it and I've seen what it takes. It's locking bodies. If you just box, it take a lot out of you to throw punches. You try to throw punches for a minute straight. Just throw straight. Have a heavy bag and keep it up like this and just keep it up like that for a minute straight. Take a lot out of you. Now lock up, touch hands with somebody. Lock up with somebody for a minute. Oh my God. Now do that. You got 8 hours they be having, how long class be 5 hours long, they be rolling around, man. It's amazing the conditioning that they're in. I'm not trying to be in anything that long. I'm not trying to do anything that long. Even the stuff that's pleasurable, I ain't trying to do it that long. So for me, it's amazing to look at, to witness the conditioning of a grappler, which a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, they're grapplers.
Grapplers, yeah.
They're grapplers. So the conditioning of a grappler is superior to none. So that's, for me, that's the main thing.
That's it. Next. Now this one gets a lot of flack, and it's gotten flack from me.
Especially from Baba.
Yes, the reason why it's gotten flack from me is because Ominiki trained in it, and so I'm gonna clown. Bile did a Wing Chun. Bile did a Wing Chun adjacent martial art.
Yes.
And so I'm gonna clown, and even we'll do certain certain movements, and he'll say and Ominiki, you heard us say Puxao. They'll do that. So it's flack for me, but I'll say, and I've taken workshops. I got friends who are Wing Chun instructors. Eddie Chong, if you're out there, Eddie, he does the Pat San form of Wing Chun, which is the original form. Most people do the Hong Kong derivative, which comes from Ip Man, right? Some people say Yip Man. That's the Hong Kong derivative, which comes from, its root is Pat San Wing Chun. People say Fu Shan, but it's Pat San. So I'm very familiar. For me, the things that I will say that of value for me is the sensitivity. I'm real sensitive. One of my
friends, point, Bob. Good point.
One of my friends, Phil Glapion, we would spar and touch hands, and he was really sensitive. I am too. He'd be like, wow, and if you wrestle, and the wrestling that I do is African, it's extremely sensitive. You have to be really sensitive, right? If you're going to grapple in any type of grappling, but in African grappling, that is the weight.
Yes.
So if you see African grapplers, very large men, but they're moving quick. The reason why they're moving quick is because they're feeling where you're moving, and they're a step ahead. So it looks like they're moving super fast, but really it's the timing. Okay. So I admire any art that's very sensitive like that. And Wing Chun, bar none, out of the East Asian martial arts, is sensitive beyond anybody else. And I know that's from experiencing it. Their sensitivity is incredible. And I said the ability to find, this comes with the sensitivity, the ability to find openings in an opponent's defenses. If you're weak somewhere, they're gonna find it. If you're open somewhere, they're gonna find it. If they can touch you quickly, they're gonna find it. So, and they do it right. They do it quickly. So it's hair trigger. They find boom, pop. Boom, boom. They're in the next place. You touch them, they're around that and moving. That level of sensitivity is incredible.
Touch and go, baby. Touch and go.
Yeah, they really do have touch and go. People talk about touch and go. They really got it. So that's Wing Chun for me, the sensitivity and the ability to find openings in an opponent's defenses.
You're not doing that, Presto John.
He's
talking about don't be not need.
Well, we ain't gonna do that to Wing Chun. We ain't gonna do it. We will do it. And their knock neededness.
We don't.
Told me why they do that. He told me why they do it. I'm not going to say whether I agree or not.
Yeah, I know I do.
He said that roots them to the ground.
It's a part of the qigong.
And so and so it makes them more rooted to the ground, and it gives them more power. I'm not going to say in this episode whether I agree with that or not. Y'all been around long enough. Y'all know me. And that's all I got.
We're not going to say we do not need all the not neededness right now. We ain't going to talk about
now. I'll say this to you. If that is true, all these knock knee girls out here, you ain't going to be able to knock them down.
They rooted.
They can throw hands because you can't knock them off their feet because they rooted with that qigong. All right.
Yep. It's a good some connection somewhere with not needing this and rootedness in the ground and the earth. We'll come back to that another time. But anyway.
I was gonna say Wing Chun for me. It's funny you mentioned sensitivity, Bob, because that's one of the things that
she does not have sensitivity written down. I just want to tell you that. I'm sorry.
I don't have anything written down for Wing Chun because I didn't need to take notes for Wing Chun. I was gonna say
she is Wing Chun.
Trapping is the thing in Wing Chun that teaches you the sensitivity. Right. So that's why I chose trapping as one of the advantages of Wing Chun. Because
so you telling me these dudes that hang out, they be trapping?
Right. Oh yeah, you know they're sensitive now.
You know they're sensitive about their trap spot. You trying to walk up in that trap?
Yeah. But, I mean, just like we talked about with Jiu-Jitsu and the being on the ground and putting the time in, with Wing Chun, the trapping and constantly learning how to move and how to move off of a person immediately. That's what builds that sensitivity in you. So trapping is one thing I put. Also, Wing Chun at least gives you the concept of the line and getting off of the line. We're not supposed to say negative things.
It's hard for you. It's really hard for you. I've noticed it.
I'll say Baba may not necessarily agree with the degree to which you come off of the line, but the fact that they teach that concept, I think is a very
hold on. So Wing Chun teachers come off the line?
Oh yeah,
look up.
Definitely.
Why you look like that, bro?
See, Baba, whoa.
Because I've sparred with probably 10 Wing Chun people, and they weren't off no line.
That rotary punch comes straight.
I was off the line, right? I was off the line, and then they were off the line, but off line like they were off line,
right. but not off the line,
right?
I'm sorry I missed
You messed me up. See, I'm trying not to. That was just a joke, y'all. That was just a joke.
Also, a lot of
Sifu whoa. Sifu Wong is not even doing Wing Chun anymore. He says some manifesto says Sifu Wong comes off the line
with his style. Now I'll say so. Sifu Wong, does he?
He does, because he done mix Muay Thai.
I know he mixes in Tai Chi.
Yes, he is got a lot of Tai Chi in there too.
Yes. Now I think his Tai Chi is better than his Wing Chun, but I don't do Tai Chi or Wing Chun, so I can't really say. But from what I've seen, it looks more Tai Chi-ish. Right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dominique.
Defending against kicks is another great thing that you learn in Wing Chun. It's the Wing Chun kicks that you're defending against, but that's definitely something that's a good advantage of it. And there was one other thing. It also deals with sensitivity that I was about to name.
And they do have tools.
Huh?
They do have tools.
They do. Yeah, it's 2 small daggers.
Swords, the bachamdo. That's
right,
the butterfly. Yeah. They call butterfly swords.
That's always a good thing.
And they have I forgot the Chinese name of it. They have they have their staff.
Right.
Bow staff.
Well, bow is Japanese, but I was trying to remember the Chinese name. I was about to say the wrong thing. But I was about to say Liu Ho Ba Fa, but Liu Ho Ba Fa is actually Chinese long fist.
I didn't know that. Oh, I'm thinking Shaolin.
Right, okay.
Well, so a friend of mine, and shout out to Tim Wright. Tim Wright got sick around the same time I did, had a stroke, and it blinded him. So I hope he's feeling better now. But
yeah, that's not a. I mean,
he owns a martial arts school in Chicago, and he does Liu Ho Ba Fa, Chinese long fist.
Okay.
Still
in Wing Chun?
Yeah. My last thing was Wing Chun definitely taught me, and this is another element of sensitivity, is
that's cold. Hold on, real quick. Professor John, you cold. Talking about Tai Chi.
I saw that.
I like Tai Chi, but we ain't gonna do it.
Good.
Now, I'm supposed to say he comes off the line with 2 straights to the side of face, head, when the opponent throws jab. If you're talking about me, yeah.
No, he's talking about
Wing Chun?
Wong, Sifu Wong.
Oh, Sifu Wong?
Yeah.
Really?
He's selling what he got, bro. That ain't Wing Chun what he doing, though. I've watched him a lot. I've studied Wing Chun for not a whole lot
because he's not even sitting back, is he?
No, he does not sit back. He also uses covers. He's been watching a lot of
and I'll say this. I've seen some young Wing Chun people in videos on Instagram now using covers, and covers does not come. It's not in Wing Chun.
No, it's not in China.
All their movements, they only got 3 forms. Okay. And all their movements are in their forms.
Right.
And covers ain't in none of them.
No, not there.
And the form, the third form, Biuji, I've seen it many times. I'm not making fun of it, but Biuji is the fingers to the eye or throat, whatever. So they do a lot of that, and they do a lot of elbows, but there's no elbows that come like this.
Nope.
So there's no cover. Cover comes straight from Africans. When you see it in boxing, that comes from Africans.
Yes.
You'll see it with Filipinos, because I did this study called One Root that shows the Filipino, Indonesian, and West African connections.
Right.
To martial arts. I did a study series on that where I was bringing in martial artists from other arts, from those cultures, to show the similarities and everything. And maybe I'll do a series on here. We'll do a series. We bring in martial artists from Indonesia, China, and different parts of Africa, and we're talking to them and we're showing the similarities. I think that'd be a good thing.
Our knife work looks similar to Filipino knife work a lot. Except when they use the.
I just wanted to throw my last thing in.
So. Go ahead.
was the chain punching. That particular exercise definitely teaches you or helps you with your sensitivity as well. In addition to that, you learn your reflexes get very, very fast.
Yeah, they have trigger.
What'd you say?
Now, I said they have trigger reflexes for sure.
Right. Yes.
Yeah, now, the verse 5 said, "What martial art can defend against bullets?" Well, I know ours can because we're gonna be shooting your ass back.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about stopping the bullet and all that, that's just being funny. You know damn well.
Yeah.
But that does not mean somebody with a gun in their hand is a superior martial artist, because if they're not trained and trained by a teacher who's competent, their shooting is gonna be hot garbage.
And I done had somebody pull. I know Baba got plenty of
You
stories.
have a gun to shoot
I've
someone.
been on the street, had someone pull a gun out on me as I'm coming towards them at point blank range and empty the whole clip, and I'm not hit.
Whole magazine.
The whole right. Baba hate when he say clip. empty the clip. No, we empty the whole mag of the Glock and not hit me one time, because they probably never shot that. They probably shot that gun a million times, but never under stress and duress. Never shot it under stress and duress. They never shot it while Belay's coming towards them with his hands out. No, I wasn't doing that. But you know what I'm saying? They never shot their gun when somebody was actually coming towards them and they felt that sense of danger. So thinking that gun, it's a joke, but we just hate that. We in warrior class, we don't like to hear that talk, even though it's a joke. That having that gun, that end all solve all kind of mentality kind of bothers us, because that's how a lot of us get taken out of here. You know what I'm saying?
And it's so dangerous now when you hear people talk about self-defense on social media. That's mostly what they're talking about, gun training.
Right.
As if that just prepares you for everything. And I've had so many people come to our class talking that, and I say, "Where your gun at right now?" "What you mean?" "I pull my knife. My knife is right here. I'll slit your goddamn throat." "Where's your gun?"
You gotta have bullets.
"It's in my backpack." It's in my purse. But let me put this up. "Go ahead, grab your gun. I'll grab mine. Mine right here." "Where's your gun? Where's your pistol? Where's your rifle? Where's your shotgun? Where is that?" So it's key that we train and see the pistol, the rifle, the shotgun, they're all tools like any other tool in the martial arts. So you train with them effectively. You recognize their strengths and weaknesses. You recognize when you should use it and when you should not. You have to be intelligent with that as you are with a knife, as you are with a stick, as you are with a staff, because the pistol does not just automatically make you a dangerous weapon. You're the weapon. And if this ain't trained for this, it's hot garbage, like we were just starting off this about. It's hot garbage.
They said, "Baba, no, seriously, can a martial arts defend against shooting stance deficiencies, etc.?"
Absolutely. So, because shooting is a martial art, it's part of, martial means war arts, right? So part of what I train them is the shooting stance is important, because footwork drives what, you all?
All technique.
They both just said all technique. All, not some, all. That includes with your gun. So it's all in your footwork. So we have to work on your footwork for how to shoot, how to move as you shoot.
Yeah.
So how to move as you running from somebody shooting. All of that's very important in your training. Not just saying that. That's not rhetoric. That is true. That's very important in your training. And if a martial arts instructor does not teach that, they're lacking in their knowledge about martial arts.
Diverse.
Not saying they're not a good teacher or a good martial artist, but they are lacking because the gun has to be part of their program. And if it's not part of the martial art that they study, then they have to go and train well and make it part of the martial art that they teach.
Right. I feel like the gun and the knife, Bob, to be honest with you. But
Gun and knife what?
They got to teach them
any tool, because you're picking up a tool playing if you're not really trained with that. I had a guy come to our class and talking about some I just got my 3rd degree black belt today, and one of my students and clowning him, but he said, well, what do you have to do to get it? Well, one of the things we had to do, now we just finished a knife workshop, okay? One of the things we had to do is come up with 7 different defenses against a knife attack. And that just left him open. My students, oh my God. And so one of my students said, so you can stop a knife if somebody's coming at you with a knife. He said, of course. And so my student said, well, I never picked up a knife for self-defense before until today. And Baba just worked with me. We just had this 4-hour workshop. You can stop this knife. He said, of course, I don't want to hurt you though. He said, well, you can hurt me. And he tore into that dude with the training knife. It was so goddamn embarrassing. And the dude said, oh my God, I gotta learn this. And so he buys our uniform, which is really just a t-shirt.
Oh, yeah.
3 months in advance. Leaves out. I said, I'll see y'all tomorrow. And I told the students we'll never see him again. He said, yeah, he paid for 3. I said, he paid for 3 months, and he feels that's his payment that he has to pay for his lack of training because he's so embarrassed. And he may have felt when he walked out the door, he's coming back. But as he drove, he's thinking about his love for his art.
His time.
He's been doing it for 20 years.
Money.
He's not going to give that up and has to dismantle what he's learned, even though he learned some ineffective bullshit.
But the ego ain't going to let you go from teacher over here to...
Ego, his love. He loves his teacher. He loves the students that's in there with him, been training maybe as long as him, and those who are new. He loves being able to teach what he's learned. He loves it. And just like a man loves a woman or a woman loves a man who ain't shit, but they've been with him for 15 years, 10 years, they're probably not going nowhere. And it's the same thing. He ain't going nowhere. He loves it. It makes him feel good. It made him feel for years like he could protect himself and protect his family. It made him feel like a man. He ain't giving up that feeling, even though he knows his shit's not effective.
He's like he's saying this. So long as I'm running to them motherfuckers over here, I'm still that dude.
Right, exactly. That's what he's thinking. As long as shit, I ain't gonna mess with people, so them people ain't gonna fight me.
Yeah,
so I can handle people that's on the street, and you'll hear martial artists after they've encountered me. You hear them saying, well, I can handle people on the street, the thug on the street, and I don't let Muzz get away with that. If you're training for the thug on the street, or your teacher tells you that, now this I will say, leave. Because if they're training you for the thug on the street who is untrained, they're training you for a sucker, then they're training you to be a sucker. They're training you for the untrained thug on the street. They're not training you for the assassin. They're not training you for the martial arts expert. If you learn how to deal with the martial arts expert, you learn how to deal with the soldier. You learn how to deal with the boys in blue or gray, whatever they may be.
Yeah, bro.
Handling the thug on the street becomes easy work. So if they're training, that means they train for the thug on the street. They didn't train for nobody who really got some go. That's why you see mugs from other martial arts get their ass whooped by cats even on the street. Because they were trained by a sucker, and he trained you to be a sucker, and he trained you to defend yourself against suckers. That's the reality of that. That part I don't never let nobody get away with. Because when they say that, they're a danger to the community. They're a danger to the public. They're a danger to them people. And they're a danger to themselves and their families. So I don't let them get away with that. They got to now talk to me and have intelligence and face themselves. You said, well, should they just stop teaching? Goddamn right. Because they're a danger. You hear me? They're a danger to you.
Their ignorance always a danger.
So that I would never deal with no episode where we're dealing with, terrible martial artists, because, oh my God, you'll be forcing me to just rip and tear into mugs, and it don't matter what your style is.
Right.
Okay. But anyway, so the next is Capoeira. Capoeira take a lot of flack too now.
Yes, it
Capoeira,
does.
I like Capoeira, but it ain't effective in the street.
We're down our last two. These are our last two here.
Right. Now, people will say that about Capoeira. It's not effective. But they say they like it. So that one is puzzling. I guess they think it's
beautiful.
Right. It is beautiful.
Damn.
So that's why I remember as a little boy, I saw some mugs in the park doing Capoeira. And I said to my father, Dad, what's that? That's Capoeira, boy. Man, I like that. Is that African? I can see it. So he said, yeah, it's got an African root. And as a little boy, I'd be doing stuff with my fingers because I love the way they was, moving. And so I'm doing the Capoeira with my fingers and jive,
Mm-hmm.
And I knew, by my father's attitude, he didn't want to talk about no Capoeira. He didn't want to hear about that shit. There's no defending yourself. He didn't want to hear it. Growing up, Capoeira folks wouldn't spar with me. They would say certain things, just dance and stuff like that. And so I lost respect for it, but it was always beautiful to me. And then I saw an individual called Hal Granger. And Hal Granger, Big John, Hal Granger, was doing some incredible shit. Then I saw a friend of mine, Lateef Crowder, doing some incredible shit. And I said, wait a minute now. And Lateef Crowder they had this show called Fight Science, and they did the most powerful kick. They had Muay Thai, Taekwondo, karate up there, and they had Capoeira. It was Lateef Crowder. And he won by a long shot. The power of Capoeira kicks, oh my God. So for me, I said the unpredictability of Capoeira.
That's a good one, Bama.
Shit, when we were filming not a single link. God, it's the Harriet Tubman movie that me and Milton co-wrote, and brother Arun Israel was in it doing Capoeira Angola. Harriet Tubman's fighting him, and I knew to use the unpredictability of it, and so since I don't know Capoeira, I said, well, what would be something good? Harriet Tubman fights this way, and he's like, I come around like this, and he's basically he does a spinning kick, but as she's moving, he's hunting her with his feet. And then doing little things where he's coming up underneath and kicking her, where it looks like he's just defending himself, but he kicks up from behind. It was some beautiful, unpredictable, but effective stuff. So the unpredictability of Capoeira is one for me.
That's mine.
And the other is the powerful attacks from odd angles. So when Lateef won, everybody just walking up to the pad, boom, kicking it, their hardest kick. Lateef does this thing where he's on the ground doing groundwork, and then he comes up and spins and kicks the thing, and it's hard as shit. You don't know where he's coming with it, the way he's moving on the ground, and then he comes with that spinning, I think it was a spinning round kick, and kicks that thing, and it's so goddamn hard because it's got that momentum built in it too. So the unpredictability and the powerful attacks from odd angles. You can do a powerful attack, I can do a powerful attack right there, right? But from an odd angle,
Right.
that, one of the best things is coming, with a upward elbow, or like, I don't know if you were there on me when Belay pulled me in. He pulled me, and I came up with that headbutt. You remember that? Out of nowhere, because it seems out of nowhere because you thinking I'm just being pulled off balance. And Capoeira does it all the time. That's pure African. Now, that definitely is African in what they're doing, right? So it's those powerful attacks, and that's a powerful attack because it's not a headbutt like this with just your neck. It's a headbutt with your whole body. They have really powerful, unpredictable attacks, and so that for me is what's a value Capoeira for me.
Great. I was gonna say, and I actually had someone who I trained with in Wing Chun who actually he called it Angola. I know it's very similar. But we used to train together, and a lot of their training techniques are very intensive. They really build strong legs, obviously, because of the art that they practice. So that's one thing that I put, that their training really helps build up the legs, the strength in the legs, which, that's the biggest muscle group in the body. So that helps you to be more fit in general.
Right.
Also, they have amazing balance. I mean, you have to be able to do some of the work that they do. So balance is another thing that I listed. And I also put flexibility. Which I think is in alignment with what Bob was talking about as far as them attacking from odd angles and that kind of thing. They're very flexible. So those are very admirable qualities in Capoeira.
And I'll say on what you said about balance, even when they fall off balance, they catch themselves, their hands, and they'll throw an attack from there. So their recovery is great too.
Right. You won't know if you ain't doing Capoeira if they even made a mistake, basically. If they're good
right, exactly. Right.
So along the lines of what y'all said, I'll just reiterate the predictability, the strength, the leg strength, the balance, and conditioning. You got to be in great shape, to even dance. You got to be in good shape, what they call dancing. So yeah, just everything they said. Now,
real quick, our manifesto said that unpredictability is like drunken monkey kung fu. Yes. Drunken monkey is my favorite form of kung fu because of that. Now, I would say also, when you said that Capoeira would make me dizzy, it wouldn't, because the way they train, people don't notice it because it's so quick. They snap their head and focus on their target first.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're looking at their target between their legs. So they don't just do it, just spinning around.
Right. Their head
like they're focusing on their target first. So they actually don't get dizzy. I had that question years ago to a friend of mine who does Capoeira. And the same person who I talked about earlier, Shango Dari, who does Taekwondo, he also is highly skilled in Capoeira. And he's the person that explained that to me. So
he's also the person going to have ice cold kicks, looking good.
Ice cold Carter's kicks down for the movies. Now, I manifesto real quick asked, please tell me what you think of Kupagani Ngumi. Kupagani Ngumi is made by different brothers from different martial arts, Asian martial arts, and they've studied some African, and they kind of put things together. It's different depending on who's teaching it.
Okay.
Like I know, so Khalil Masi's father, a shout out to Fundishi Masi, who just transitioned a few weeks ago. May he rest in power. He was a Bando expert, which is another art from Myanmar. Okay, which I talked about Borneo, earlier. No, it's not not Borneo. Excuse me, Burma. Myanmar is Burma. Excuse me. He was an expert in Bando, and so I know they kind of combine Bando with African martial arts. Okay. Another friend of mine who has been down here and actually helped me test my students once. He's a student. I think he was a student of from Dishi Masi, but his son Khalil, I think, is now the head in New Jersey, Orange, New Jersey, I think. And we had the African Martial Arts Conference, and Khalil told me, he said, I'm going to do some Ogun work in your honor. And he's on stage doing technique, and he's doing Ogun techniques. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. So it depends on where you're from, if how Kubagana and Gumi is going to be for you. Okay, but I say if you're in New Jersey, well, then Khalil Masi is the one you definitely see.
Now, James said, why don't we see Capoeira MMA, or is it in some form? It is. Capoeira is all in MMA. You don't see even people. What happens is MMA fighters take the best of everything. So Conor McGregor has used the MMA kick to knock somebody out. He's not a practitioner, but you see what you're starting to see is a lot of fighters take some of those kicks that like roundhouses where they touch the ground with one hand.
Right.
So that's been in there for 10 years at least. They've been using that one capoeira kick. So it's in there. Karate's in there. It's all
where you also see it. You see it in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. A lot of people don't talk about the history of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. My brothers and sisters on here who are here, who are old enough, you'll know, they used to say something along the lines of, there are movements in it called the Capoeira roll or something like that. Remember, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is from Brazil, just like Capoeira.
Mm-hmm.
And Valdemar Santana, Waldemar Santana, who was reigning terror on the Gracie family, so much so that they didn't, they celebrated when he's an old man and one of the young Gracies beat him. That's some bullshit.
Real bullshit.
Yeah. Waldemar's a stone cold brother, right? Well, he did Capoeira, and he helped in the development of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, which is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So it's Maeda taught them judo, and they mixed that with Capoeira, and that is the origins of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So you see it when you're seeing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Don't forget what Brazilians really look like.
You gotta remember. You gotta remember the old way of doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but now it's transformed where it doesn't look like any Capoeira most of the time at all, because they've developed so far.
They got away from striking as a whole, pretty much. Too.
Right, and so the development is different, but I mean, shit, but yeah, you see some of the striking in there all day long. All day long, you see it, in those kicks, and so and let me say this too. I don't take MMA as some people do as a litmus test for whether art is effective. I just can't. I can't believe in that. I can't take MMA as that, because you have some wrestlers. So you take a wrestler, you give him boxing, and he could beat the shit out of a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu person or a Muay Thai person. That doesn't mean wrestling and boxing are better than Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
Right.
That person has learned to put them together better. His timing, he may be a better athlete. So it's not the litmus test for a martial art if it's good or not. But I will say it is a litmus test for you if you want to test yourself. Can you bang? No matter what you're doing, can you bang with it? So, and they've tried to, so they've taken arts. Let's put padded weapons in your hand too. They've done that, and you can also throw, strike, whatever, submit and use the padded weapons. So they tried that to get more and more realistic. That started, the Dog Brothers did that. They didn't use padded weapons. They used actual sticks, right? They still do. The Dog Brothers, they spar full on sticks, throws, punches, kicks, all of it goes. Because the stick can, represent a sword or whatever. And they wear a fencing mask, and that's it. If you want to do that, cool. For me, we just train hard, because I be damn. My students say we want to swing sticks at each other as hard as possible, but we just wear a fencing mask. I ain't doing that shit. Because your arm can still get broken, kneecap broken. I'm not doing it. I don't need that to know that I'm effective. I've used it in combat. I've used it on the street, and I've used it in combat. I'm fully confident in what I'm doing. You know what I mean? And I know it's more the mindset and the tools that you use than anything. But anyway, so that's Capoeira. Anybody else got something to say about Capoeira?
No, we had the last one.
I was wondering, would it be okay if I start on the Aikido piece? I actually have to.
Yeah, of course. So Aikido is the last one, sure.
Yeah. So with Aikido, that is the one that I knew the least about.
It's the most potent out of all of them. That's probably no.
I didn't know that. I still don't know that. So what I did was watch some videos.
You watched Steven Seagal, didn't you?
No,
okay.
I did not watch. I watched some videos on YouTube of different practitioners and the way that they moved. And what I saw was a very effective use of blocks, some good joint locks, different ways that they use joint locks. One of the people who actually was on the videos was talking about being a bouncer at a club. Like that's one of the things, or I guess security at a club. That's what he does in addition to teaching. And he talked about how Aikido gave him the choice of not having to punch and kick someone, you know what I'm saying? Because he has the knowledge with the locks where he can just walk people out by putting them in the locks. He can submit people with those different, just by blocking whatever they do and then putting a lock on them. So
it's peaceful.
Right. That's one of the things. And also the Joe staff, them defending themselves with weapons. I think we call it a different thing.
We call it little staff, but Joe staff because it's from Chicago.
Exactly. See, everything from Chicago is superior.
Everything is Joe. That Joe.
But like we have the middle staff. They have the Joe staff, and learning to fight with weapons and sticks in that way is a training with sticks is a very advantageous way of fighting. So I chose that use of the Joe staff as one of the best things about Aikido. I love you, family.
Love you too.
I love you. Yes, y'all also. I gotta go.
Now let me say this. As far as the Joe, thank you, Ominigi.
All right.
So bow staff, Joe staff. I think bow staff is about 6 feet long. They're both Japanese. The Joe staff is 4 feet long. It represents the katana, which is the samurai sword, which is actually 3 feet long, but the Joe is a little bit longer, so it's 4 feet long. Just so people know the difference. Now, Aikido. Aikido is the most beat up martial art on earth.
It's because Steven Seagal, he did it.
Capoeira, I think, is second. But the most beat up art, it's not just because of Steven Seagal. So I'll say this. I went to the biggest demonstration. They have this huge demonstration during Japan Day or whatever it's called in Chicago. If you don't know, outside of Tokyo, Chicago has the most Japanese people on the planet outside of Tokyo, Japan. So it's huge. Japan Day or week or however it is, right? But they always had this big Aikido demonstration with Aikidoka. Those are Aikido practitioners. They come from all over the world to do this demonstration. So I got invited to go and, front row seats. There's literally a couple thousand people there. There were 300 Aikido practitioners doing demonstrations. Out of 300. This is how I met this brother I told y'all earlier. His name's Gilbert James. Out of 300, to be honest with you, all of them had students they would barely touch the student, they would flip. Some of them wouldn't even touch the student, they would flip. Gilbert James was the only one that was doing real technique against folks, and he was calling people out the audience to attack him, not his students. And he was working them. Beautiful. Other Aikido folks, he's working them to the point they looking confused because they ain't never been really thrown like this. They usually throw themselves. They're like, God damn. I said, now that is Aikido. Okay. But Aikido gets beat up. It looks like they dancing, they wearing skirts, blah, blah, blah. They just beat them up, everything. This one dude who was a third or fourth degree or higher black belt in Aikido gets famous because he leaves Aikido for MMA. And so he is one of the biggest people talking against it and all of that. And so people use him as, see, Aikido is not effective. And I'll say this, what I value about Aikido is the footwork. Footwork drives all technique. So I had to look at myself and say, well, it's something I don't understand because their footwork is incredible. It's great. Their footwork is beautiful, not just beautiful. And for me, beautiful means it's effective and it's efficient, right? To me, that's beauty and efficiency. So the way they move and everything is, and blend with you and the way you're moving is top notch. So for me, that is, and the reason why I question myself, good footwork equals good technique. So there's technique in there I'm just not seeing or understanding. I'm not being funny. I'm just, yeah, because I try to say, okay, well, damn, the way they're approaching the technique because they're moving like the sword, and I can't.
What's missing?
Yeah, I'm missing something.
It's you. It's not them. It's you.
Right, it's me.
You that boyfriend that cheated. It's not you, baby. It's not
right.
you.
Right. It's me. It's not you. It's me. You're right. Exactly.
You just fail to see the goodness.
So, and
it's
I'll
me
take
too.
that. I'll take that onto myself. But their footwork is top notch for me. And I'm not being funny. I'm not.
That's real talk because, like you said, to get the positioning they get for the throws and stuff like, they have good footwork. They really do. I agree with you on that. I don't know what else though. I'm sorry, except for they use the tools. I'm lost, my nigga. I'm saying I knew you. That's why we saved it for last. It's hard, boy. It's hard. So they use a tool. They got a tool. They got a staff.
They use the tools.
Pull that walk with the staff. Don't even use the key.
And even that, using the tool, I got to be missing something.
Because they use it like
They use it like their hand.
you coming way out here with
You
it.
coming in there, and then you flip. Hey, maybe I'm missing the off balancing ability. I'm not gonna break on them. Like this ain't the episode for it, you know. And maybe what we should do is bring in a guest who does Aikido and talk to them. Man, stop. Bring them in with total respect.
No,
and they break down to us what we don't understand, bro.
Because we definitely don't. We had neither one of us have really, you know what I'm saying? Right. Yeah, let me see if we can reach out. I'll try to reach out to somebody and see if we can get them on.
And have respect for them when you.
No, we're talking to you two guys. We're gonna need everybody. You know, we're gonna be on our best behavior.
And if you watch it on Facebook, reach out to us and be like, "Look, y'all trying to be funny, and we're not. We're serious. Reach out to us and say, hey, what you don't see is this, and educate us. But also, we'd like for you to come online and educate everybody else. And we wouldn't. I don't believe in doing gotcha journalism where I gotcha. No. We seriously want to learn because, I mean, to be honest with you, to keep it 100, the only value that I can see is the footwork. And I don't want that to just be what I see, because that can also leave me at a deficit if I defend myself against a capoeira person. I don't want to be overconfident either.
Aikido, good point.
You know, so
yeah, let's try to have somebody on from there.
Yeah. So you got anything else about Aikido?
I do.
They do now. I like their hakamas too.
I don't know a hakama.
The skirt pants, it's called a hakama.
You know what? I'm to be totally honest, I like uniforms and stuff like that. Any martial arts uniforms, I like them. I like uniforms when it comes to martial arts. I just like uniformity.
I think only black belts can wear the hakama.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think only black belts.
The most in South America.
Brazil got the most in South America or Peru. Got the most blacks, yes, absolutely. Brazil got the most in South America or Peru. I think Brazil, next to the African continent, has the most Africans. Next to countries in the African continent, I don't think. Preston John said Japanese. Brazil got the most in South America. I think Brazil has the most Japanese. So that's why when Doug Maeda, I think it's Doug Maeda. When Doug Maeda taught the Gracies and Valdemar Santana, when he taught them, it's because, he was a well-known jiu-jitsu who had come to Brazil, moved to Brazil. For some reason, Brazil is very attractive to him. That's about looking to the history of that too. But
they give incentives for certain ethnic groups to move to Brazil. They've been doing that since the 60s.
Yeah, but this was before that. This was long. I'll be right back. Yes. I want to say this was when the Gracies started. I want to say it was the 20s.
Is that when they started importing the lighter skinned hue people in Brazil? Was that the 20s or the 30s? I can't remember exactly. But somebody asked a question about, I want that grapefruit so bad that you're walking out with. Somebody asked about 52 blocks, what he thought of it. I'm assuming you was asking Baba, but I can give you my opinion, and Baba would probably agree. So for 52 blocks, 50 blocks is excellent form of boxing. First of all, form of self, it's excellent boxing. It teaches you really good, striking. It's actually one of the best defensive martial arts I've seen. As far as defense, they got a real tight defense. So that's my opinion of it. It did really good tight defense and good striking. They don't do it a lot of kicks and do a lot of grappling and tools of that nature. So But it's definitely good. We actually had a workshop with the 52 blocks people, so that was cool too. All right.
So of course there are many martial arts we have. We didn't have EO on. We do EO. That definitely would have been biased. And you all see EO at work every time we do techniques on here. I heard you saying something about 52 blocks. We didn't have that on.
Somebody asked us how we felt about it earlier.
Oh, well, yeah. So 52 blocks. I'm looking for, so I love it, but I'm looking for things specifically because it wasn't on the list for us to talk about, but specifically for me is I looked at, before we had the brothers come on, which we had Wise Morrow, who is over 52 blocks ATL. So they came and did the workshop with us, and actually 52 blocks ATL is part of the Siapu movement along with us, right? Their defensive ability is incredible. I even told them, I looked at, like I do for all arts, where are the chinks in the armor that I could take advantage of? And I couldn't find chinks in the armor. And I said, God damn.
That's saying a lot.
Incredible. The chinks I can only find is when I touch hands with anybody, with them. I can see chinks in the armor in other arts. I can see it.
Right. You got to find it in the individual.
But you got to find it in the midst of actually touching hands with them.
That's
You're not going to see it. That is some good shit. I said, damn, okay, I can't see where you would just get in with this. Not until you touch hands, because when you touch hands, you can set up a chink in the armor. If I touch hands with you, I can move you a certain way and have a chink in your movement, right? So I can set up a chink in your armor, but you don't just have wide holes. 52 blocks, it does not have just wide holes. And that's 52 blocks ATL. That's 52 blocks AOD, Art of Defense. That's 52 blocks on the West Coast with Diallo Frazier. AOD is Light Burley. 52 blocks ATL, that's Wise Morrow. You don't just find chinks in their armor. You gotta find it by actually touching hands, and if you better be good if you actually touch hands with them, or they're gonna run roughshod on you, right? So that, among many, but that's the main value of 52 blocks. Okay. So we may do this again in a few months with Screamer, Pinchas a lot. We may do 52 blocks, wrestling, boxing. There are so many arts out there that I've touched hands with, and martial artists that I'm friends with from different arts and things of that nature. And they know if we're martial artists in whatever, we should be able to have an intelligent discourse about these arts and actually touch hands with each other without malice or ego, but we're touching hands to learn. I want to know, okay, where are we weak at? Let's get at it. I had some martial artists tell me, the only weakness you all have is that you don't have forms.
That's weakness.
Somebody else said that you all don't dance, which to me is, like having forms. So I asked why about because somebody I think mentioned about what kata is for. What I was told kata is for is kata is like the encyclopedia of that martial art. So it holds all the knowledge in it. And just my response to that is I hold the knowledge of my martial art. And the way that I access that knowledge is by touching hands with him or somebody else. I have to touch hands to access it and know that I can access it. And through that, then more knowledge is gained. But working with different bodies. So for the months it may take me to learn this kata, and I'm not being funny about it, I'm just saying, because I told you I love kata. I love the way they look and the power of them and everything. But the time to learn this kata, whether it's weeks, months, years, whatever, I can be touching hands with another human being. So another human for me is a kata. In judo, they even have katas, which shocked me because they're grappling art. But their kata is basically like a two-man. They call it something in Taekwondo, two-man techniques, two-man sparring. I forget what it's called because it's a sparring is usually two men. I forget what they call it. But so they have these two-man katas where this person moves like this, you do this technique. That is learning how to do the technique against somebody.
Right, that's the drill. That's equivalent to what we do drills,
like
right?
A drill, right? For them, that's judo's kata.
Okay.
And he probably Jigoro Kano, the founder of judo, probably put that in there because the karate people wanted katas.
Yeah.
And so he probably just added that for them. You rarely see that, but I went to I think it's called the Jiu-Jitsu Institute in Chicago on 20 East Jackson Street. Never forget. I was a little boy and I told my father I wanted to learn some judo.
Wait a minute, did you say 2300 Jackson Street?
No, 20 East Jackson, not 20.
Oh, okay, I'm about to say,
wait a minute. Jackson's house. I ain't want Joe Jackson with my ass up in there. I'm sorry, I didn't get that right, Joe. Joe would have been mad at me because I was a joker. Even so, Shunichi Namba was the instructor. Yeah, it's run by a brother now, like his top student. But and it had been around since 1923 or 32, something like that. It's been around a long time. But I told my father I wanted to learn. He said, okay, well, go ahead and take it. He always said, take all the arts you can. It's gonna always bring you back to the Africans. And I didn't really understand what he meant then. I think I was like 12. I was 11. So I got a friend of mine, convinced him to go with me. Because another friend of mine trained there. Right? And my friend Adolfo, may he rest in power, was way more serious than I was about it. I was always joking. So much so that the instructor, Shunichi Namba, they call him Shun Namba, Japanese man, he told me, you he all the time. He, you're going to get your ass whooped and everybody's going to say he. If you get a black belt, I'm going to say he. Because he's changed. You changed yourself. To get a black belt, then you're going to have to stop he so much. Stop he. And I knew it wasn't for me because in the African martial arts, as you know, we joke, we clown. You can clown the instructor. You can't clown the instructor in no Japanese art.
No, sir.
You can't be joking. Shit, your ass to be in trouble. It's big I, little you. And that just wasn't for me. That was outside of the way I was trained. And so I left. But Adolfo stayed. I think he stayed till he got a brown belt or whatever in it. And then I want to say Donald, who became wrestling champion, national champion, I think he stayed. He got his black belt in it. So
okay.
judo will add to that when we do the second one too. You know, I love me some judo. Love me some judo. So I saw everybody posting in what their favorites were.
Cool.
And you know, a lot of people said wrestling. Have you heard of the Swan Academy? Are you being serious, D. Stevenson?
I don't know who's. I'm wondering if this the Steve Stevenson that I know, because I feel like
if it's the Steve Stevenson you know, he must know of me, because Swan Academy. Swan is my government name, and with one N too. But I've never heard of the Swan Academy. No, that's very interesting.
It's from Orange Town or Orangeburg or something.
Now, James said form is structure. So form, kata, Chun, Pumse's got different names depending on what art you're doing.
Okay, I can.
Lankas, and so depending on what art you're doing. Form is structure. So yes, a form is a structure. Absolutely. And I will talk at another class of that's exactly why.
Right.
We don't do katas because it is a structure.
That's what I was just thinking. I'm glad I got it, because that's why I said, okay, I can see it is structure. And okay. Yeah, we have a conversation about that, Bob, when we get next time.
Right. So yes, and the Japanese in Hawaii is straight gangster. Oh yeah. Now Hawaiian Japanese, yes.
And the UFC has definitely exposed a lot of martial arts. But you know what? Don't think because it's not in the UFC, it's not viable. Because what you have to remember also is that the UFC is a sport that has rules and everything. So some things are too brutal to be in the UFC. You know, if we was to train and what we do to train to get into the ring to fight in UFC, I would lose some of my real self-defense skills. I would have to numb them, lose some of them to adapt to a sport. So that's one of the things you always have to think about.
Real quick, my condolences to you and the family. Yapo, he said, I apologize, I have to leave. We have found out about a recent transition in the family. My wife is on the phone now. Much love to you all. Love you too, brother.
Prayers to your family.
Thank you. See you all next week. Yeah, prayers to the family, and you know, condolences to you all, and may your family member rest in power.
Yeah, both.
All right, you all. That's the end of this episode. If you have any questions, of course, you can hit us up at Warrior Class BPM on Instagram. You can hit me up, Balagoon OJ Tade on Facebook, or Ani Yunwea on Facebook as well. Yeah, you can get that book. That's one of many. Also out is Ice Cold Dating Tips with Ice Cold Carter. Ice Cold Survival. That's a survival book there, Surviving the Urban Apocalypse. And then you got the Ice Cold Survival. That's with Ice Cold Carter teaching you his family survival tips.
I'm hearing this one of Bob's best pieces to date.
So it's a lot going down. Of course,
thank you, brother.
Kill Craig. Those are my 3 most recent books. It's all Ice Cold Carter books. And working on the sequel to Who Killed Craig. You know, for the rest of this year and early 2023, I'm mainly just doing Ice Cold Carter stuff, including working on the film. And then I'm doing part 2, or 2.0, the second addition to the game Grandma's Hand. Grandma's Hand was shortlisted to win the Hugo Award. So I'm doing the second edition for that, just because I was shocked that it was up for the Hugo Award, and I don't feel it was my best as far as creating games. So I'm giving people, not giving it away, but I'm giving people the second edition. Okay, so I'm working on that as well. We
look forward to it.
Next week, I will be out of town, so we'll be shooting out. My plan was we do a technical episode, but I'll be out of town with the wife because her birthday is on the 15th. So we're going out of town. We're not going to be able to do it probably for a long time after because the baby will be here in January.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're taking this trip. I won't say where, but I'll be shooting from there.
Mm-hmm.
We'll come up with the episode, and we'll be shooting from there next Saturday. My wife's birthday is the 15th. That's next Thursday.
Well,
and we'll be back at it. So the the Saturday after that, we'll be in person doing some technique.
Please tell your friends about the show. You can always share old episodes, anything you think is relevant to a conversation or a subject matter or a group that you may be in. Let them know about us. We're trying to
subscribe.
Yes.
And if Ominiki was here, she'd say donate.
Yes, she would.
Donate to Black Power Media.
Thank you for the compliment. Stevenson says a great show. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your input.
Yes, sir.
With us too, your interactions. It was great. I'm supposed to say he saw that on his Amazon Kindle. I don't know which book. I got a bunch of them for like 42.
And if this is the Steve that I know and actually touch hands with all that stuff, then very well played by not saying that's who you are, because I can't say nothing personally about you. Know what I'm saying? That was so slick. If you're not, and if you aren't, then still peace. I'm glad you came on, and I'm glad you tuned in and interacted with us.
Absolutely. So we will see you all next week. Love y'all. Stay black or whatever it is that you may be. Peace.
Peace. And another one for Amaniki.
Yeah. and for our good people in YouTube and Facebook. Peace.